So I guess about a week and a half ago, Danny calls and asks the question, and I had no idea what I was going to say, but I just felt like I was supposed to say yes. So here we are. I think the last time I spoke was last summer, and I don't know about y'all, but I feel like I'm still not where I want to be. But you know what? I feel like, what is it? Those circular paths of righteousness, you know, that you're going. It feels like sometimes you're going around the mountain, but you're going up. And so I feel like that we as a body, we've moved up. You know, we are traveling up, and we're still contending for some things and still believing for some things. But I feel like we're stronger now than we have been, and that we've learned a lot. And I feel like we're not even the same people we were. It just feels like the Lord has, He's been doing a deep work in us. And it's not always been easy, but it's good. It's good. Because His ways are better than our ways. And some things that maybe I thought were what I wanted or needed, I'm learning they're not. And so it's good. It's good. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for praying for me this week. I'm never sure how things are going to play out, so I'm just going to start with Isaiah 57, chapter 50, verse 7. For the Lord God helps me. Therefore have I not been ashamed or confounded. Therefore have I set my face like a flint, and I know that I shall not be put to shame. You know, this Easter was just 2 or 3 Sundays ago, and this is one of the scriptures that I remember looking at during that Passion Week leading up to Easter Sunday. And, you know, Jesus is our example. He came and He lived on this earth just like us. And so He's not asking us to do anything that He's not done. And He did it perfectly. And so part of what I want to talk about today is focus. Because He was so focused on what He was sent here to do. And, you know, as we've just come through Easter, we remember that was a hard road He walked. But yet He did it, and He did it perfectly. And so some of the things that we're walking through, some of the things we have walked through, some of the things we are walking through, it's not always easy. But He is in us. And so we can do this thing. And I just, you know, I'm just so reminded of how He set His face like flint. He was not distracted. He didn't take his eyes off his purpose for being here. And it probably would have been easy to do, but he didn't. And so we can go to Hebrews 12. Verse 2. Looking away, and I'm in the Amplified, so it's a little wordy. Looking away from all that will distract to Jesus, who is the leader and the source of our faith, and is also its finisher. He, for the joy of obtaining the prize that was set before him, he endured the cross, despising and ignoring the shame, and is now seated at the right hand of the throne of God. He goes on to say in verse 3, just think of him who endured from sinners such grievous opposition and bitter hostility against himself. Reckon up and consider it all in comparison with your trials, so that you may not grow weary or exhausted, losing heart and relaxing and fainting in your minds. So, Jesus is our perfect example. He set his face like flint, and we were the joy set before him that enabled him to endure all that he went through. So I thought that I would share maybe just a couple of examples of ways that we can help maintain our focus on Jesus. Several years ago, my husband, who is a very wise man, he's really way smarter than I am, and he came up with the expression that things just don't happen. You know, things just don't happen. Oftentimes we look at people who have excelled in a certain area. It can be business, it can be a marriage, relationships, it can be an athlete. They did not get to that place just because they sat around and talked about it, studied it, read about it. They got there because they were intentional about what they were doing. And so, you know, we'll tease about that every once in a while. You know, it just didn't happen. We're not getting ready to celebrate our 37th wedding anniversary because it just happened. You know, So I say that to say, for me to set my face like flint, for me to stay focused on Jesus and not be distracted by the world, the enemy, whatever would distract me from Jesus, I have to be intentional about making him my focus. Because it is not just going to happen because I want it to, or because I know it's what I need to do. So, there's probably lots of ways, and, I would encourage you, seek the Lord. Ask him what he would say to you, because it will look different in each person's life. I'm not going to give you a 5-step, protocol, but I'm just going to give you some tools and keys. And one, some of us young ladies have been studying Strengthen Yourself in the Lord by Bill Johnson. And the last 2 chapters that we have done have been on thanksgiving and praise. And I think that that's a big key, because it sets our heart's affections, our minds back on Jesus. And because y'all probably are not this way. But if I've got something on my mind, a problem, a circumstance, it's very easy for that to become what I focus on. And so I've got to be very intentional to shift my focus over here on the Lord. And look away from this, because this is where my natural tendency goes. And so as I do that, not only are my eyes being taken off Jesus and put over here, but my heart's affections are as well. And so Bill Johnson does a beautiful job in this book of, he gives examples. He just, but, the bottom line is just to position ourselves to be full of thanksgiving. Whatever we're dealing with, we can find something to be thankful for. The Lord may not have brought about this circumstance, but he's with us in it. And really his desire is for us to come through it, because he wants to reveal a different part of himself to us through that. And so it's all about bringing him glory and strength, and we're being strengthened in the process. That's why we can stand here today and say that even the things we've been through, we're stronger. We've come out stronger. We've learned some things. We've picked up some things along the way. Not that we're there yet, but that's the goal. As we go through this life, just to see him more clearly, and just that it becomes more and more about him and less about me. And so I just, I encourage you, praise and worship, however that looks for you. Sometimes it's cranking up some music and just losing yourself in worship. Bill Johnson just spoke in this last chapter about the physical obedience, even in worship. You know, I know it's not everybody's thing to dance, you know, in worship. But you know what? There's sometimes that we just have to get over ourselves, because there's just there's some warfare, or it's a release when you just abandon yourself and lose yourself. And it's not about drawing attention to yourself. It's not about any of that. It's just about giving yourself completely to the Lord. You know, I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but you know, some people have a real problem with just raising their hands. You know, so whatever it is, that's not the point. It's just do something physically, even if it's out of your comfort zone, because it steps us into a deeper place of worship, and just a confession that he's greater than even my uncomfortability. Is that right? Uncomfortableness, whatever. Being uncomfortable. And so, you know, even I know that everybody's not necessarily musical, and maybe even praise and worship isn't your favorite part of the service. I can't imagine that it wouldn't be, but you know, it's as wonderful as it is in this house. And you know, sometimes we'll sing the song, but then, you know, go off into something spontaneous, and that bothers some people because they don't know the words. The words aren't up there. It's a little challenging for some people. But that comes because when you have aligned yourself in worship, you're more connected to the heart of God. And so your heart connects with His heart. And so that's why, you know, so often these wonderful vocalists up here, they'll just go off on something else. You know, it's not because they're trying to make praise and worship last so long. It's just because you get lost in it, and your heart connects with the Lord's, and so that's, you know, He'll give you something. And so there's a power in singing, and even in repeating. Sometimes it's like we'll sing the same thing over and over, you know, for several times. And that's the reason we do that. You know, it's not just because, again, that we're trying to make praise and worship so long. It's just that as we say it, it gets down here. It's got, you know, we want it here, but it's got to get down deep in us. And so it's important. Praise and worship is important, because that, whatever we behold, let's see, I wrote this down because it's good. We become like the one we behold. So if I am more focused on anything other than the Lord, that's what I'm going to start looking like. Whether it's the world, whether it's a problem, you know, whatever, fill in the blank. But we become like the one we behold. So this thing picks up every little noise, doesn't it? Okay, so yes, Thanksgiving and worship, it just helps us establish our focus. It's so important, and it's more than just Sunday morning worship. Because I can tell you, I'll wake up tomorrow morning, and it's so wonderful right here and now with everybody when we're surrounded by each other. But doggone, tomorrow morning I'll wake up and it's like I got to start all over again. I've just got to start all over. So that's why this thing is it's not even daily, it's continual. And that's, again, that goes back to the intentionality. It's not just going to happen. So, ask the Lord how you can do that for you. You know, what that looks like for you in your life. So, anyway, I'm going to move on. Let's see where I want to go next. Y'all, I just kind of jot things down, and I just... Okay, so Nehemiah 6:3. I think this is I just love this picture. A couple of weeks ago, well, again, this came out of our Strengthen Ourselves in the Lord, Bill Johnson book that we young women are looking at. And it just, I'd forgotten that it was even in there, but it's like the picture just came to me a couple of weeks ago. And so the story of Nehemiah, just basically in a nutshell, the walls of Jerusalem were torn down. Nehemiah was cupbearer to the king and found out the walls were torn down, and he was just devastated for his people. So the king allowed him to go back to Jerusalem and work on the wall. Well, we all know that if we're busy doing a good work for the Lord, not everybody is going to be as excited about it as we are. There are going to be some enemies. And people are not our enemies, but, the enemy is going to come, and he might use some folks. So at any rate, this is exactly what was happening. They were not happy about this wall being built back. And so they came to Nehemiah, and they said, "Come and let us meet together in one of the villages in the plain of Ono." But Nehemiah said, "I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. Why should the work stop while I leave to come down to you?" You know what that is? I love that picture, because what that says to me is I really don't even need to give any attention to the enemy over here. It doesn't matter what he's doing. I just, like Nehemiah said, why should I talk to you? It's sort of like a child. It's like a 2, 3, 4-year-old child, and even if you started, it's you're gonna do that the whole way through. But it's like you get engaged. They'll say something, and then and it's back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. The same way with the enemy. So it's like, it was like the Lord just showed me that. It's like, what is it? Give no thought. I don't even know where that is. I just thought of it. Give no thought for, I don't know. But anyway, it's like, don't give him a thought. Don't play his game. Just don't even answer the door. Just don't even answer the door. And just look to Jesus. And I know this does not mean we ignore, but most of the time I feel like we spend way more time over here in the enemy's, dealing with him and focusing on what he's doing than on what Jesus is saying. So, if I get a bad doctor's report, am I going to spend more time looking up healing scriptures and listening to healing tapes? Or am I going to be on Google looking up all I need to know about that little disease? I mean, I'm just saying, and that can be in anything, any situation. Let's be like Nehemiah and say, why should I come down and talk to you? I'm busy building. I'm busy building. I'm busy doing God's work. I'm busy keeping my focus on Jesus, because the more I focus on him, the bigger he gets and the smaller this gets. So I love that. To me, that is such a visual picture. Bill Johnson, I just love Bill Johnson. He's so good. He says that he says, I am responsible to God first. And for this reason, I have decided to live in a healthy state of denial. When the devil puts a request for attention across my desk, I say, request denied. So, again, these are not things that are just going to happen because I know it's the right thing to do and it sounds like a good idea. And when somebody else is talking about it, it sounds easy. But if I can be intentional about putting my focus on Jesus, he's going to get bigger and bigger. He's going to change the affections of my heart. He's going to change me in the midst of it. And something else I wanted to say about worship. Yes, I'm all about the physical expression, but you know what? There's sometimes too. For me, I'm just saying for me, I just have to be still. And it's almost just like let it soak. It's like I don't have to say anything. I don't have to do a thing. It's like just sit there and let it wash. Because, really it's a cleansing. We get all this stuff on us and we just need to be washed. Washed by the washing of the word. Worship does the same thing. It just washes over us. And even though I may not feel anything inside sometimes, the Lord's doing stuff. He's doing stuff as I just position my heart and position myself. He'll do it. He'll do it. So I encourage y'all, be intentional about setting your face like flint And the Lord will show you. He'll show you how to do it, what for you. Because we're all different. But worship and thanksgiving, praise, that's the key. That's a big key. Agreement. Now also, doing those things helps me to agree with what God says, with what His Word says. I'm learning agreement is so powerful. It is powerful. I want to be connected with people who are like-minded because our agreement in life and situations is huge. And our agreement comes through this mouth right here. Woo, have mercy. I have, so this is May. Yep, this is May 1st. Little pause, little break. May 1st. Do y'all know what May is? This is Miraculous May. Miraculous May. Lana Valzer prophesied it, so it's true. And I'm looking for the miracles this month. Yes. Doesn't matter what's going on over here, what it looks like, because we're looking over here at Jesus, and we know He's full of miracles. This is what we've been saying and asking for is, Lord, we want to walk in signs and wonders. So I'm going to focus my eyes to look for them. So happy, miraculous May. I meant to say that when I first got up here. I love some Lana Valzer. Some of you know who she is. She's a little chick in Australia. Got 3 little boys and this powerful prophetic ministry, and she's just amazing. And she's been talking about ferocious focus of faith. Ferocious focus of faith. Again, it doesn't just happen. We've got to get ferocious in it. We've got to make up our minds that we're going to do it. You know, I think maybe in the past we've sort of been able to get away with some of this stuff. You know, just kind of one foot in and one foot out. But I'm telling you, those days are over. Those days are over. If we're moving with the Lord and in what He's doing, we can't have it both ways anymore. That's why our focus, we are setting our face like flint. We're going to do it like Jesus did. We're not worried about what they're doing over here. We know what we're here for. We are here to preach good news. We are here to heal the sick and to set captives free. That's what we're here for. And the only thing that comes ahead of that is to minister to the Lord. Because the other comes out of our time with the Lord, our intimacy. There is no way I'm going to be able to come over here and set anybody free or heal anybody, even have good news for them, if I'm not ministering to the Lord first. That's my number one job, if you want to call it. And it is a job because, again, I've got to be intentional about that. It's not just going to happen. So I've made up my mind. I've been walking this a long time, and I've been doing it, but it's like, man, there's just some things that's got to go. I haven't got time for it. It's like my focus is Jesus. And out of that place with Jesus and intimacy with Him, then the greater works. And that's where we're headed. This is where we're headed. We're headed for the greater works. We're headed for the glory of God that's coming. In fact, I believe it's already started. And so even in a practical way, in getting ready for that, I'm trying to get my house in order. Because you know what? I want to be freed up to do what I need to do when things really get, because the harvest, we all know the harvest is coming. We've been talking about it. They're going to be coming in. It's not just going to be sitting here on Sunday mornings anymore. There's going to be work to be done because people are going to be coming in who are going to have things they need to be discipled in. People are going to need to be delivered and set free. And that means that we have got to have some time, because it takes time to spend with people, to build relationship with people, to make disciples. Faith spends who knows how many hours a week discipling teenagers. It doesn't just happen. She makes room. She makes space in her schedule to be able to meet with these people, because that's the important thing. But she's not able to sow into them if she's not had her own time with Jesus. And all this takes time. So it's like, okay, Lord, what do I need to do? I'm not telling everybody to go quit their jobs, because you got to feed your families. I'm not saying, but God will show you how. If we position ourselves and we lean into Him about it, He's going to show us how to do this thing. And it's not going to look the same for everybody. So don't even start comparing. Don't start comparing yourself to the person beside you. Just ask the Lord where you're supposed to be. Because, see, He's positioning and aligning all of us. Because my friend Mike Bowden back there is going to have influence with people that I don't know. Debbie's going to touch people that nobody else in here can. We all have our realm of influence. So just ask the Lord where He wants you to be. But I think I got on that about agreement, but then I got excited about the glory that's coming. And because I'm feeling that. It's like, I've got to get ready. I don't know what it's going to look like, really, but I just know I want to be ready. I want to be available. I want to be available for whatever the Lord's calling me to do. And y'all, then I got so excited. Y'all know, excuse me. Okay, so y'all know, I think this started, I've got the date written in my Bible. Back in Isaiah 61, the Lord just, sometimes you'll read a passage and the Lord just highlights something to it. And I've talked to y'all before about it, so I hope you don't get tired of it. But Isaiah 61, verse 7. So back in January of 2019, so that's 3 years ago, the Lord spoke, he highlighted the word recompense to me. And, I think we've all been in this long enough now. We know that when the Lord shows us something or gives us a word, a prophetic word, you might as well go ahead and expect the opposite to happen. I don't know why. I wish it was not that way. I thought in the beginning you got the word and it just happened. And maybe it does sometimes, but it seems like in most cases that everything except that is what is thrown in your face. But that's okay because, see, we're not at the same place we were. We're a little more aware now. We're not as caught off guard and not caught all up in the whatever, it is. So, so this is the year 22. And I've been saying all year, I'm like, this, and other prophets are saying it, but I've been onto this double portion thing for 3+ years. And I hadn't really even thought I was going to even really talk about it today. Well, I woke up in the middle of the night and looked at my clock, and I was so still out of it. I think it was 1:44, but I know it was 44. 1:44. And see, that's been happening to me all year. And I've heard some others of you say the same thing, that, it's like nothing to look at the clock, and it's always like 11. It's 11, right? 11:46. But oftentimes it's 11:11, 12:12, whatever. It's like crazy. Just all the time. And so I'm like, now when I'm punching something in my microwave, I'll do double numbers, 33 seconds, 22 seconds. Just, because I'm like, this is double portion. And y'all, I could not believe it. So I woke up thinking, okay, Lord, I'm supposed to just remind everybody this is double portion year. And as if I needed another confirmation, I was cooking my husband a little breakfast this morning, and I cracked an egg, and would you believe it was a double yolk? I was like, I just about fell apart. I put it in the little bowl, and I had to take it in there to Bobby. I said, well, if there was any question, it's confirmed now. So I just say that, grab hold of that. This is our double portion year. It's the year 22. Double portion. No more, and everything the enemy has stolen from us, he has to repay 7 times. And so this is, I believe this is a big year. I am expectant that God is breaking through. And so I say that to encourage you. Please be intentional so we keep our focus on Jesus. You know what? Buddy up with somebody. We need each other. Don't be isolated over here. No, find somebody. There are women in this house that are getting together, praying, different groups. You find your little niche, and don't be afraid to ask. If a lot of us women, they didn't invite me. me. You know what? That's one thing I love about Laura Carbonell. She came into this house. She did not know a soul. Do you think I invited her for coffee? No, she invited me. And she has done that to people all over this house. She has gone to them. So don't use that as an excuse. Reach out. We need each other. We need that agreement. We encourage each other. When one is down, the other one lifts us up. We need each other. We're not in this alone. We're not in it alone. I am going to end with a little story that we are all familiar with. And Kevin, if the praise team wants to come up, I think this might be a good time because I think this will take us into communion. But you know, I've been reminded of the Abraham and Isaac story. So we started our time together today talking about Jesus setting his face like flint, how we were the joy set before him to endure the cross and all the humiliation of that. And this is a story that is a good picture of the same thing. So Isaac and Abraham, we all know Isaac was the promised child. And the Lord came to Abraham and asked him to sacrifice Isaac. Now, he'd waited a long time. He waited a long time for the manifestation of this promise when Isaac came. And now God's asking him to sacrifice his promise. And there's two things about this that I just want us to think about. Sometimes I have to sacrifice things, promises. Just am I willing to lay it on the altar? Because often, like Abraham and Sarah, they created an Ishmael because they tried to do it in their own strength. They thought, it just wasn't happening like they thought it was. So, we're going to get in here and we're going to mix a little flesh with what God's wanting to do. And I've just been reminded that there's some things that I have just got to let go. Even promises. That God doesn't need my help because it's not by might, it's not by power, but it's by the Spirit of God. And if I'm willing to release the person I'm praying for, the situation, whatever it is, if I'm just willing to put it on the altar and release it. I love you, Anna. Just release it to the Lord. He's going to raise that thing up for me. He's going to do it. He does not need my help. If I could have done it, if I could have fixed it, don't you think I'd have done it a long time ago? I'd have done it a long time ago. So, I would say, release Release. Put it on the altar. And, you know, the other part of that, and maybe it goes with it, but just that I'm willing to hold nothing back. Just hold nothing back, but put it all on the altar. Just lay it all down. Just keep my eyes on Jesus. And he's got this thing. He's fighting for me. All of heaven is fighting for me. So we're going to do communion. You know, if there's anybody here that just needs to release anything, sometimes it's just lies that we've believed for a long time. Sometimes it's feelings of bitterness, resentment, unforgiveness. You know, y'all know we got all that stuff. This is a new day. This is a new day. And the Lord is telling us to get up, shake off the dust. We're doing this thing again. We're doing this thing again. We've learned some things. We're going to get back up. We're going to do this thing again. And this time, we're taking off more baggage. We're those chains, they're coming off. Those things that have held us in bondage. See, because this is a new day, and we can't carry it with us. We cannot. And so I would love to pray with anybody who needs to release that. And I've got some other women and men, if we need men. We're going to get rid of some stuff. We're not going to go out of here the same way we came in. This is Miraculous May. This is Miraculous May. So when communion is done, if anybody needs prayer, please come forward. Do not leave. You will be glad you did. I love y'all, and I bless you. Thank you for letting me share with y'all.